Well, hello, lovely. I am here with a Divine Masculine Insights reading. I have the Spiritual Synchronicities deck and the Astro Tarot Symbolism deck combined with a few cards removed. But otherwise, I am really intrigued by this energy because I've noticed that the Divine Masculine Collective went through a very rough season. Even the Divine Masculines who tend to avoid the moves of divine, right? And it was very interesting to me what was coming through over the last few months because it kind of felt like we were hearing what I felt was honestly a lot of the same old from certain divine masculines, while, and I will say though, that was like kind of the majority, to be honest. But we were actually hearing something new from a different group, which is the more immature, the DMs that frankly a lot of us question, like, can you even be divine? It was really shocking to hear from them. And I really didn't want to give them a stage or a platform for some of the things that they were saying. But I also was very confused why, like, no matter how I tried to ask the DMs that maybe we would find more acceptable to share, they it just felt like they were saying the things they always said, but like with more fervor maybe. But it was actually those darker DMs that we were really hearing from last season. Well, now I'm getting this message that there has been a separation that has occurred, not like what we are experiencing, but a separation of the collective once again. And so I'm going to warn you that even your divine masculine, who you might not have looked at as like low vibe or anything like that, even they went through something back in September, October that was meant to bring them low. But now, something that many of you are going to probably resist or reject at first because of how messed up your DM has been, the DMs that were at the lowest, many of them actually got up, heard the call, and went forward. And so we're now kind of tapping into the collective energy that many of us are used to. All right. Many of us are used to hearing from DMs who they're not terrible. They just, their awakening is not done. There's some downloads that needs to come through. There's all kinds of things, right? But I'm going to tell you right now that we have a larger collective of these people because those DMs that we've been questioning for years, like, what's wrong with you? Are you even ever going to be capable of being a good person? Many of them finally decided, all right, I'm done avoiding my responsibilities. So today, the energy that came through was the fog. And I heard immediately, don't get discouraged. The fog has lifted. So divine is letting us know divine often provides opportunities through dips, through like low seasons for people who have been existing in a valley and never really thought to come out to then follow the flow of the divine masculines who are choosing to ascend up and out of that valley. And that's a very interesting thought process. If you have a divine masculine who, let's say you've got, I'm going to try to do little dips here. So here you're on a plateau and then you have a dip and you come back up. You're on a plateau, you have a dip, you come back up. You have on a little plateau, you have a dip, you come back up. If your divine masculine was in a one of this dip or this dip, and the collective then came along and dipped down and helped them out. What that means is even some of the lowest divine masculines, people who you really, really question, were further along in their journey than you think. They just chose to give up at one of the darkest moments. That was a mind blowing, like powerful thing that I received. So, today, what I'd like to do is check in with this group of divine masculines. I've already blessed and shuffled, and I'm going to now pull some cards. So, the first thing that we want to look at is how are they feeling about their divine feminine right now? I think that this reading is going to focus on dynamics and us. And so I think we should start there. How is this divine masculine feeling about their divine feminine right now? Hmm. The new moon. I think what this says is they are realizing that there is so much that they have ignored or have not known, have not considered because their light was not choosing to shine, right? They were not choosing to look at the divine feminine from a place of light. They were looking at the divine feminine from a place of, like, I need to find your shame. I need to find all the things that are wrong with you so that I can feel better about myself. A lot of times, our divine masculines, they are brought low just by being like standing next to us, because we just choose to be good sometimes, right? We choose to be light or right or whatever it is, and they are choosing the wrong path. And so just standing next to someone who decides, like, I want to be a good person, I want to exude that light, is very, very confusing and jarring for them. So it's interesting. Instead of looking for the things to be upset with us about, they're now looking at us from a brand new perspective. They kind of want to understand, why do we think the way we think? Why do we see things the way we see things, instead of judging us? Okay, what is in their heart or their emotional space towards us right now? What do we need to understand? Hmm. This is summertime, but it also came through with a feather. And it does make me think about that experience of going on the nature walk or the spirit walk and exploring the area around you. And when you kind of find these different things, there's this beauty in that, I don't know, that experience of just connecting in that way. And it's almost as if they're starting to understand your nature more. They're starting to understand your light. They don't look at it as you're just faking or you're just trying to be a certain way. They see it as, this is the circle of life. This is the way things are. This is just who my divine feminine is. I don't have to be so bothered. Am I bothered by the sun when it shines brighter in summer and longer days in summer, and it shines less in winter? No, I acknowledge that there are seasons and flows. This also tells me that the divine masculines were looking at us and expecting perfection, because that's how we made them feel at first, like we were perfect. And then every time a flaw was revealed, they were like, oh no, you're not what I thought you were. That must mean everything's wrong. And that is an issue of their trauma. That is an issue of how they respond to life. That's something that they have to work through. But I don't think they understood that they were putting it on us. And I think that we were meant to be like the feather, like the signs and the sinks in their life. We were meant to confirm things for them. But instead, they allowed their spirit to be rubbed raw. Because remember, at first, they were avoiding the light. They did not want to be shown, hey, this is what you're supposed to do. This is how you're supposed to act. And so I think in their heart of hearts, at this moment, they're looking at us and they're thinking, maybe there's more to the story here. Maybe there's something that I just had never seen before. And maybe there are things that I missed because of how my perspective was causing me to view things. All right, so hold on, let me pull these. Now, let's understand what they're avoiding right now. Divine masculine, what is it that you are most afraid of in this season? And it's, I feel like it's related to reunion, related to our relationship together, but it's not necessarily just about us. So we have the hourglass, the sands of time. We have a divine masculine who, and I mean, look at this. This is the on the top of the deck. This is the black hole, okay? And I think that they have this feeling like everything is just floating on by, and they're really nervous about it. They feel like life is slipping through their fingers and it's out of their hands in many ways. There is a nervousness about wondering, is it possible to turn back time or to start over? And I think that what this tells us is, since they've always struggled with thinking positively, seeing things in a positive way, it's something where for them to be able to just look at us after everything we've been through and just be like, yes, it's going to be great, is just not in their nature. It's not who they are. But there's something to be said about that. I think they're starting to understand, I find myself questioning things. I find myself doubting a lot. And now that's even expanding into something that I really desire. I don't want to see life like a black hole, or see my life like a black hole, I think is more specific. I don't want to see the future ahead of me with my person and all this stuff and then immediately get drawn into sadness. Maybe there's more to it. I want a clarifier for this. What is it that, in causing them to think about, the sands of time, the passage of time, the feeling of time slipping away, and the anxiety that it's creating in them, what does that do where we're concerned, really. Like, what is divine's purpose in that? Ah, numbers, numbers, numbers. This is about helping the divine masculine to start clocking, no pun intended with the time thing, but to start clocking what's really going on. And I think the notebook with the 1111, it's kind of trying to say, hey, you need to really pay attention because you're missing things. And if you let yourself go, here and there, divine masculine, if you just let your mind go here, oh, I this is what I decided today. And then, oh, tomorrow now I'm over here and this is what I decided today. If you keep doing that, you're not really going to understand what's happening right now. And so the purpose of getting the divine masculine to pay closer attention to how they feel about life slipping by is for them to say, is there any way that I may be able to grab a hold of this feeling and actually go with it? And that's interesting too, because it's almost like when we think about a black hole, it's a very misunderstood thing in science. It's something that, we're I don't know if we'll ever really be able to confirm it unless we send something in through one, right? And so it's like, this vision of being sucked into the black hole, but it's like, well, what if, divine masculine? What if you let yourself? What if you let yourself get sucked in to what feels like darkness to you? Because truly, divine masculine, you have been seeing things backwards. What if time is not running out? You just need to turn it on its head and realize you've got a lot more than you think. What if the black hole is not meant to suck you through into more darkness, into eternal darkness, even? What if it's actually a good thing? What if it's going to take you to another dimension, another timeline? What if there's more to it than you think? So, this is very interesting. I have a feeling that the divine masculine is feeling a lot of pressure after the last season, where even the darkest of the dark divine masculines were being pulled up to a higher level. But that meant, again, some of the DMs that weren't even doing that bad, like DMs that were trying to make an effort, DMs that were trying to be better, even they were kind of being pulled up. But for them, it's like, wait a minute, I'm struggling. I'm not just in denial or avoiding things. Like, I'm really struggling. And now you're asking me to go higher, and I don't even know what I'm doing. Well, now they're all on this plateau and they're looking forward. And I think they understand that things are going to dip down, things are going to rise up. There is an ebb and a flow. What they're struggling with is, how does that take me to where I'm trying to go? How does that get me to my divine feminine? So let's talk about this. What is divine revealing to the divine masculines about their path forward? Oh my goodness. Okay, so we have the lovers, but we also have the Hierophant. And you know what that tells me? Oh, that's so deep. You guys, that is so deep. That tells me that the divine masculine needs to understand something. Your coming together is not something that it just needs to be public, and it needs to be something that they're proud of and that they need to claim, which is, it sounds very like, what are you talking about? It's very specific. I can see it so clearly. But with the Hierophant energy, it says divine masculine, this is something that you need to make official. This is something that needs to be, for lack of a better term, like blessed, ordained, consecrated. They're being taught right now that the reason why their life feels so kind of empty and pointless, even for some of them, which is very sad, is because they have not committed to something bigger and they want to. There's a desire deep within them to change the world. This is kind of on the top of the deck here. They want to experience a different life, a new way of being. But they can't when they refuse to walk down the path, because the moment that it gets to, like, oh, now you have responsibilities. Oh, I can't do that. Hey, now you really have to commit and stick to this. Oh, well, I don't know, because I'm still kind of confused. And it's like this season is trying to show them, if you want to go forward on this path, you've got to figure out why you're so afraid of natural things. And I will be honest with you guys. The way things have been going in the world for like the past 20 to 30 years, we are going to continue to see the degradation of love, relationships, the family, whatever. It's just kind of the way we are as a society now. But that's really no excuse for the divine masculines. The divine masculines actually have a desire to fight through that stuff. They want more than what's being offered. But many of them don't know how to fight the system that they're in. They don't know how to fight against their body that just says, just do the bare minimum, just do the least, because If you put any extra effort in, it's going to get really, really hard, and you're probably not even gonna be able to win. And all that doubt that's in them, they're looking at the idea of like marriage and building a kingdom together and all that as a lot of responsibility. And really, the fear is a lot of things that could go wrong. And so it's very sad to see that the world has affected them that way and that they've given into it. But it's also something important for us to realize. I heard something the other day and it just broke my heart, but it was so true. It said we trained women for fairy tale love and we trained men for PORN. And then we sent them out together and told them to date each other. And it has been a catastrophe. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's actually very, very true. That is kind of where the modern man and modern woman, or feminine and masculine as it were, has reached their boiling point. All right. And so now we have a masculine that's being shown, hey, you've been living in your version of that for a long time, and are things getting better? No. Is pursuing your physical desires or getting your gratification or whatever it is that you do, because not all of it is, sex based, guys. Some of it is other stuff, but it's like whatever you're doing to seek that instant gratification, has it helped? No. You're running away from your divine feminine, who, frankly, the gratification is there. So don't get it twisted. Yes. But you're also running because you realize that the requirements of being with that person on the level that they're on in life is more than you're willing to give. But have you ever asked yourself, why are you unwilling to give it? That's what this season is about. It's saying you want the love. You want to experience even a little bit of the feeling of awe, when people see a couple, oh, they I think the divine masculines want that kind of attention, but everything on the other side, whether they've been traumatized by a karmic, whether they're afraid because they've never experienced it, whatever it is, it has kind of made them put a full stop on the things that deep in their soul they desire more than anything. And so, for some reason, this season, the divine masculines are being told, if you want the world in the palm of your hand, the only way that it's going to be given to you is if you are committed to the energy that you are required to participate in. So if your DM is called to ministry or to changing the world or to loving on the children or whatever it is, and they refuse you, divine is going to keep knocking them around. And it's not just to play with them or toy with them or mess with them. It's because divine loves them so much. Divine does not want to see them spend their entire lifetime running from the very thing that they desire most because they've been duped. So this is really sweet, actually, to me. This says divine is no longer going to allow the divine masculines to be tricked and deceived. And you know what? That's going to expand into all kinds of areas of their life. I'm seeing that. I think the first place it starts is with their passions, is with their foundational stuff, but it's going to continue to expand. Okay. All right. Next thing I want to understand about the divine masculine is, what are their plans? Now that they have experienced some of these changes, what are the plans that they are making? And I will warn you again, divine masculines, when they make plans, it's usually they have an idea, like a single thought, and then they just run with it. It's not really the plan that we would plan, if that helps. Okay. But still, even if that's just the way they do things, we can't discount it. They're still moving forward. It's just not going to be the most organized, and they're not always going to be able to explain it or articulate it. All right. So let's see. What is their plan right now where the divine feminine is concerned? Ooh, okay. This represents aces, the aces in the tarot cards. And what this says is, we need to have a new beginning in every area of our dynamic. Divine feminine, I'm very curious. What would that mean to you? What would it mean to you if you had a new beginning in what we'll say is 4 areas of your life with your person? What 4 areas need the new beginning the most? But what I will say is, I think the divine masculine is starting to realize that they really ruined your first chance. They ruined your first opportunity. And in their mind, that was it. The way that they think about the world and about life, oh, please like this video because this is so real. The way your divine masculine thinks about the world and about life is that there are no real second chances. They get kind of frustrated about it. They really want one They always tell them, themselves and others, if I just had a second chance, everything would be different. But do they believe that second chances can really be offered? No. I don't know what it is. I'm pretty sure it's a trauma thing, or, you know, maybe pursuing the wrong stuff, you end up not getting another chance because you're on the wrong path. So then they internalize that as this is just it. But they want to experience it. And I think if you can kind of pin down, what do we really need? What areas of our life and our relationship and our dynamic need that boost? Okay, so divine masculine wants to experience new beginnings, multiple new beginnings within the relationship dynamic with their divine feminine. But what have we not thought to ask about this? Hmm, the dove. Your divine masculine wants to call a truce. Your divine masculine wants to call a truce. What does that mean to you? Now, you may have just actually sat for a second and said, I think I know the areas where we need to restart. Is there any of those areas where your DM might be thinking they have to come in and say, hey, can we have a fresh start? But you, in thinking about those areas and being the peaceful, beautiful, divine soul that you are, you may say, how about this? Instead of us having a new beginning, the way they think, where they're trying to figure out how is this even possible, because they think they're going to have to work for it. They think they're going to have to plan and do all this different stuff. What if you just give them the clean slate? I know not all divine masculines deserve that. So you're going to have your discernment there to see, like, is that something I want to give this person? Hold on, you guys. My mic keeps like flipping in the opposite direction. Maybe this will be better. Um, but I think it'll be important to ask yourself, where can I come in as the dove of peace, or where can I come in where they were not expecting to experience something different, something new? And really, what I would say is the true nature of the divine feminine, which is here's the crazy part. Some divine feminines right now are listening to this and they're like, Grace, I've been forgiven them. I've already let that stuff go. I'm ready for the new beginnings. They're the ones who are putting this idea of like, I've got to figure it out. I've got to make it up to you, because they still feel guilt. They still feel shame. I think that they still feel those things because they've been still, participating in those old behaviors. They don't understand that the moment they decide to commit to the new behaviors, so many of us are good. We're good. I don't, we can talk about it one day, but we have so much time to make up for. I'm not going to hold that over your head. So if you as a divine feminine are able to do that or already have done that, I think that it may be very good to send a little reminder to them. If you're in contact, let them know somehow. And if you're not, put it in the air, friends. Put it in the air and let your divine masculine know there is peace between us. Now, I'm going to be honest. It seems like there are a lot of divine feminines that are in my comments sometimes that don't feel that way. There's that a lot of anger. And so I know that it may be a challenge. Like, I know some divine masculines have pushed you to your limit, and it's like, how dare you ask me to do that? I get that. But again, I will say this: the number of divine feminines I've seen have a union occur unexpectedly, or reconciliation really is what I should say, occur unexpectedly, and then suddenly they realize that they're the one holding up union. Every time I say it, people get very upset, like, oh, that would never happen. And then I get calls, I get texts, I get messages. Oh my gosh, Grace, it happened. What do I do? So I want you to ask yourself, on the days where you're mad and it's hard not to forgive them, or it's hard to forgive them and to just let things go, is that every day or is that just sometimes? If it's every day, I think there might be some like real trauma that happened between you guys, and that makes sense. But if it's just sometimes, and maybe because you get riled up, maybe like a reading does, whatever, ask yourself, if they came in on a bad day, but it was just a bad day and a bad moment, do you think you might mess it up? Honestly. And that's where I say, if you realize in that moment, oh man, I definitely would mess this up. What I would say is really work on asking divine to show you where the forgiveness needs to expand within you. But if you're thinking, no, you know what? I think that even on a bad day, just seeing them, all that would melt away. Then the only advice that I have for you is just make sure that once you guys are together and you're communicating and you're in contact regularly, that if a bad day creeps in and they make a mistake, just make sure that that energy doesn't creep in after you've come together either. I know that's weird to consider, because it's like, Some of us have not heard from him in so long. It seems silly to speculate about what would happen if we did talk, like if they showed up tomorrow, if they showed up next week, what do we do? But that's kind of the whole thing about this journey, that once you've been on it long enough, you just throw out the window. The moment you think that you're always going to be in separation, you kind of give up on union and you don't even realize it. So take the time to ask yourself, where can I be more at peace, and let them know or show that we are in a state of peace and bliss when we come together, so that they're not so afraid. Why do I think this is so important? If you guys remember, this is the Astro Tarot Symbolism deck. And in this deck, we have the different creatures that we see. The salamander that you see here is from the King of Wands. This is now the second card. Okay, we also had the Hierophant, remember? This is now the second card that is specifically talking about cards that we would consider in the tarot, or the twin flame tarot, the husband energy. Husband energy. So we have divine masculines who are being called into this husband energy. They're being asked, if you want to have these new beginnings, you need to be able to handle getting into a fight with your wife one day. If you really intend to experience the fullness of life with this person, you need to be prepared for the things that you've left unfinished or unsaid or unresolved to come up. But as divine feminines, we also have to make sure that we're aware our divine masculines can kind of punk out sometimes. They don't really know how to deal with conflict. And it's our job to say, there are certain things that are unforgivable, and there are certain things that are forgivable and things that we can work through, and actually pick and put things where they belong for your own sake of clarity. The worst thing that can happen, one of the things that happens so often, because so many people watching tarot don't understand, when you're hearing a reader say certain stuff and talking about people like getting in reconciliation, they think that we're just saying it. No, it's constant. It's constant. I don't know if anybody's here right now that wants to say, oh, me, I'm here. But people get into contact and reunion and reconciliation energy with their person all the time. It's constant. That's where when people say, "Oh, you don't have any stories about it," I'm like, "What are you talking about?" They're in the chat, they're in the comments, they're letting you know right now. And it's because, again, when you've been doing your journey for a certain way or experiencing things a certain way for so long, you just start to think this is it. It's a part of life. It's a part of our human nature. Like, oh, I guess this is it. And then when they show up, you don't realize you've been holding on to a lot of stuff. You're angry. Or this is usually it. Either you're so upset that you end up blowing it and you're like, "Oh crap, it was me this time." Or what's more common, I think, is we end up trying to go back to where we were. It's almost like the relationship, we pressed a pause button and now we're pressing unpause. And we come back together, and they do the same thing. And now we're kind of together, but we're living the old way. But guess what, divine feminine? You're not that person anymore. You're not that person anymore. And they're really not who they were either. But in you two both acting how you used to, trying to kind of appease each other, because there's guilt, there's shame, there's the anxiety, like, oh my gosh, it's working, we're together now. And oh, what are we going to do? It ends up just being so messy. And so, divine feminine, if you can have a clear idea of where you're like, no, you know what? There are certain things that I can truly be at peace about, and there are certain things that I can't. By the time they come around, you'll be able to say to them, hey, listen, I love you, but I can't do another year of the way that you drink, or the way that you smoke, or the way that you this. And here, and see, automatically, there's going to be some people go, oh, I could never say that to them. Like, I wouldn't even be talking to them. I'd be talking to the addict in them or whatever, right? It's like, no, no, listen, I've watched it happen over and over and over again. We take these people back as they were, knowing that back then we had a problem with it, or we couldn't handle it. And we focus on the things that, like just being in reconciliation. We focus on, okay, we're back together, but we don't realize our soul is not okay. Our soul's just so happy to have them back, and we don't want them to run away, that we don't say anything. So the very thought of telling them, like, hey, that's something I really struggle with, we don't say it. But do you know what happens when we do that? They then, months in or a year into now being together again, they then say to us, I thought you accepted me as I was. What is this? You're not who you said you were. And we're like, what are you talking about? I took it for as long as I could, and you just wore me down to nothing. That if we had said to them up front, listen, I got to be real with you. The way you get when you do this, or how you are a workaholic and you do this, or the way you won't contact me, it hurt me so bad back in the day. And I know that we're just now starting up again, but I just wanted to say that to you. Can we keep that in the back of our minds that I think I need more, and I'm not asking for it all at once, but we've got to figure that out. I know that sounds scary, but you would be surprised at how it can just change things like that. And it can make, instead of having to have that conversation a year into reconciliation or reunion or whatever, and now we're breaking down and maybe going into separation again, you could say to them up front, this is who I am now. And this version of me loves you even more than the old version of me did. And this version of me sees even more of your potential. And this version of me believes in you. But if you're going to go and get drunk, I need you to stay at your house that night. That kind of stuff. Those kind of conversations are what actually drives divine masculine forward and into their growth. And you can't do it 2 months into the relationship where you've been, just acting like everything's fine. So this is very interesting. Your divine masculine is actually desiring a new beginning. They want to experience fresh starts with you, but they don't really know how that works. You know this stuff. You've been looking at it. That's the beauty of twin flame separation. During that time, you at first think there's some mystery to be solved, or there may be even something that you've done wrong or whatever. And so the first thing you do is kind of like examine yourself. You examine the dynamic. And oftentimes you really figure out all the things that were messed up, but we're so afraid to present it to them when we come back together. And again, it's, if you're presenting it because you want them to apologize, you're doing the wrong thing. If you're presenting it simply to say, these are my boundaries and this is what I desire from you, you have now given someone who didn't know where to start a place to start. So divine feminines, spend some time there, because these divine masculines, they want to be husbands. They want to be partners. They want to be a part of kingdoms. But guess what? Most of them, even if they were married, have never been husbands. Even if they were partners, have never been good ones. You understand? You showing them what it takes to be a good partner to you, a good husband or wife or whatever it is to you, is actually the first step. And it's the one thing so many of us are afraid of. Your divine masculine's desire to be on point for you. It will make them feel really, really good. And now instead of them having to go seek out gratification everywhere else, they're getting the gratification from you going, oh my gosh, you remembered. Oh my gosh, thank you. Oh, I noticed that you didn't drink last night, even though you really wanted to. I see you, babe, and I love you. That kind of like, ooh, oh, you have no idea how it affects them. And so many of them are gruff and rough and they try to act like it doesn't matter. They are lying to you and to themselves because they are ashamed. We, as divine feminines, have been called to a higher standard of pouring out love upon people who think they're unlovable. So, this is really powerful. What is it that we are missing? What is it that this divine masculine, there is some hidden thing that we would never even think was going on, or we just, it wouldn't even come to our mind? Okay, hold on. Can someone tell me, we have the lion and we have the solar eclipse. Can someone remind me when was, and time is coming up again, guys, lots of time. When was the eclipse? In fact, I think this has something to do. Oh, okay, hold on. Actually, this is kind of what I've been talking about. Back, Lionsgate is what triggered all of the stuff that happened when the whole DM collective, even the good ones and the icky ones and all the ones we are exploring, they had a dip moment come September, October. And so I'm thinking the time between Lionsgate and I'm thinking maybe the end of eclipse season, because that kind of makes sense. There was a lot more happening than we know. But here's something I find quite interesting. I'm getting a vibe of, well, I don't know if you can actually see that over there, but I'm getting a vibe of divine masculines watching our kingdom. And I think this has actually come up a couple times for other divine feminines when I'm doing personals. Oh, by the way, oh my gosh, that was one of the first things I was supposed to say. I have a couple more calls left for today, but please make sure that you check your time when you're ordering your session, on the on-call sessions that I have on my site, because daylight savings time just happened and not every country Does their dating daylight savings time at the same time? All right. So what you're typically used to being time in America might be a little bit different. All right. I guess it's more for my international friends. All right. But yes, I've noticed that the last probably like month or so, there have been a lot of lurking divine masculines. And I will tell you, in my experience, a lot of DMs actually avoid looking at us or following us or learning about us because it can trigger them, or it can create like some, I don't know, some kind of like weird feelings in them of avoidance and all that. And so they avoid to avoid the deeper avoidance, if that makes any sense. Now there's this feeling of, well, I went through my darkest time. I was brought into a dark night energy. And the first thing that I wanted to do was go and see my divine feminine, was to go and, whether this meant that that's why you got these calls that you've been receiving lately. Some of you even got into union in the last couple weeks, which has been really beautiful to see. So thank you when you guys come back and just share that with me, especially if you're like not going to be around anymore. Thank you for letting me know. But I think the reason why this is happening is because as they went through this dark time during like the early fall, late summer, I think that some of them were worried about you. Some of them were worried because they did not equate this to like, oh, I'm learning a lesson, I'm getting taught something. They really were looking around at the world, because think about how bad things have just been this year. They were looking around at the world and they were like, oh man, everybody's in trouble. And so I think that some of them were looking to their divine feminine, whether this means, again, just kind of lurking or following if you're seeing them in your stories on social media or something. The reason why is because I think they wanted to make sure that you were okay, because they were not. So this is really important. I think that they are fully aware that this last season, that last dip that they experienced, was about you. It was for you. It was about this relationship dynamic. It was about the things that they've been running away from. But what is it that they saw? What is it that they found? Because again, this to me is kind of this hidden understanding. There was something that happened or went down or was explored, or there's something I'm missing here about the divine masculines looking to their divine feminine recently. What do we need to know? Hold on. Okay, this actually represents in this deck the major arcana, but this is a justice type energy. So again, I will tell you, I think our divine masculines knew that there was something going up. Ooh, I just heard time's up. But this is what kind of came through, is this dragon. And I feel like what this is talking about is these feelings that there's something quite wrong that they're getting, because they're seeing signs and sinks. They're seeing the great dragon. They're seeing the thing that they need to defeat. So, what we don't know is that something has happened in the last couple of months, especially in their life, like something the divine has been doing or having them focus on, that was meant to show them, this is why you're so easily defeated, divine masculine. This is why you're always missing things. This is why you're always so confused, because you've been avoiding slaying the dragon that's going about your whole life and ruining things. And I think that they've been shown this through animals in their life. I think that they've been shown this through numbers in their life. I think that they've been getting a lot of signs and synchronicities about you, which is probably the real reason that they're actually going to your page, because them trying to check on you and think about you, some of them actually know people that know you and they can just ask. But them to have that like nervousness and fear, there's no guarantee that you're going to put that on social media anyways. But for them to think that maybe there's something that you've shared, a lot of our divine masculines think of us as very wise people. They think of us as somebody who knows things that others don't. And I think they may have been searching to say, huh, is there something that you see? Do you know where my dragon is? In fact, that's making me think a lot of these divine masculines, they have this thing where they know we know, but they don't like when we're right. Give me a hand up if you know what I'm talking about. All right. So, this is very interesting. It's making me wonder, what's their plan then? What is their plan? What do they want to do where we're concerned? Now, this is the hermit. Oh, but okay. Because I was like, that's weird, but it's with the high priestess. I think that they want to learn about us, about how we know. And that is what they want to do this season. This season is all about, whoa, that was so scary. You guys, I'm so sorry if that scared you. I have a very rude neighbor boy. He likes to do burnouts and stuff, and he's very loud. Anyways, okay, so that is the point of this season. A part of me is trying to figure out, was that from what I just said? But I don't know. All right. I believe that the reason why this is what they want to do right now is because there's something in them that very much feels like the hermit. They feel like, I've always talked about like the abominable snowman, right? Like if we're the pretty hermit in the 9 of Pentacles versus the hermit where it's like, I need to pluck my chin hair. You guys remember the joke? Okay. I think that the divine masculine, because of what they've been through lately, it has actually caused them to get wiser. It has caused them to start to pay closer attention, to study things, to better understand things. And now that they're doing that in their own life, it has opened up their understanding towards us. They're not looking at us and just saying, "Oh, you're just a know-it-all," or "You're just pretending to know what you know," or "You're a witch and you've gotten these things like nefariously." No, I think they're starting to go, "Huh, if I can pick up on things, maybe that's how she knows what she knows. If I've been able to figure this stuff out, maybe I'm onto something." So I think that might be a part of why they're trying to study you. They're trying to understand you because the more that they understand about themselves, the more that they are realizing, like, oh, wait a minute, I've misunderstood her, which means that everything I thought I knew about like intuition, which I think a lot of us introduced our divine masculine to that stuff. Not that they hadn't have heard of it before or seen other people do some of the things that we do, but we were the first person that it made sense to them. It's just that they had to be in denial about it because if they admit that we're like clairvoyant and that we make sense to them and we're telling them we're supposed to be together and they want to avoid or deny that, well then, oh no, everything we say is crazy then, you know? So I think that their plan for this season is to watch. And what I will tell you is if you're catching them watching you, it's up to you on whether or not you want to interrupt that. If you realize that they're watching, you can call them out for it, but there may be something that they're supposed to learn from watching you almost like candidly versus from you sharing something direct. And so if you want to say, "Hey, I noticed you've been watching my stories, like what's up?" Okay, fine. If you feel called to, great. But if you're like, "Mm-mm, you're going to reach out to me. So I'm that's what I'm on right now and I'm not going to let that go." I don't think that's a big deal. I think that them spending this season trying to understand your light and how you are so connected to divine and the world around you, it is going to reveal things about them to them that they never knew were possible. And I believe that will be the moment for many of these divine masculines where reunion will occur because it'll be so apparent and just blaringly obvious that there's no way around it. We are connected. Ah, this is really, really deep. Okay. I guess I'd like to know a little bit more about these challenges, though. These divine masculines are always challenged by time, right? Time and timing. What do we need to understand about the divine masculines' challenges with time and timing right now? Ooh, all right. We have the chains clarified by the crow, and the color you can see very, very similar. Wow. I think that their challenge is to open themselves up for transformation in spite of the fact that they feel that it's impossible. The divine masculines would like to believe that it is possible for them to become the best version of themselves that they can be, but they also believe, like more deeply and truly, that life is holding them down and holding them back. So the challenge that they have to overcome is either to break free of that, whether it's real or not, or to, in spite of that feeling, because maybe it's not really real, to push themselves into that state of transformation. Can I ask you, divine feminine, what is it that you believe your divine masculine needs to do to transform? And then maybe there's like a long exhaustive list. Okay, but like Is there any one thing your divine masculine could do that would have the biggest impact? Like earlier, I kind of mentioned divine masculines who maybe do some, heavy drinking or something like that. Sometimes it's very obvious, like, oh yeah, they just drank on the weekends instead of every day. Like that would immediately change their life. Oh, okay, cool. Or if they quit altogether because I can see what it does to them and their health or something like that. Sometimes it's very apparent. Sometimes it's like, yeah, they have to stop avoiding their responsibilities. That's that if they just did that one thing, it would trickle into every area of their life. I think being able to pin this down is also going to be able to help you gauge when they come in. Where are you? Are you still in denial about the most important thing? I have had plenty of clients where their DMs come in and say, I want to change my life, da 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 da. Da," And then the DF expects that that means the most important thing. And the divine masculine does everything but that. Now, it still does bring progress. I'm not going to front. But at the same time, it also hinders their progress greatly. And if there is some sort of addiction, even there could be like gambling, there's all kinds of stuff. It doesn't always have to be substances. Then you have a divine masculine who is now working against even their own brain. Their brain needs that thing. And so this is where I think divine feminines, we've got to be real with ourselves and say, look, this journey, when we're listening to readings or whatever we're doing to kind of gain information about our person or about twin flames, it's often presented in these very specific ways. Like this is what they have to do, but it's so general, right? And you kind of have to figure out like what does this mean for me? But I will say that sometimes even the generalization, even if we do get specific, it's like it doesn't really apply here. My divine masculine has more to overcome than the average person. So I can't just say, like, oh, they need to come in perfect or they need to come in ready to admit these things or whatever. What if it's not until they enter into a safe space, a place I always like to call a soft place to land? What if they decide that they want to be with you and you offer them that soft place to land and then they can think straight and they decide to make those changes? I think it's going to be important for you to say, can I handle them when they refuse to make those changes? Can I be that soft place for them to land? If you realize, no, I cannot be that, I don't want you to think that you're going to mess something up. That's actually divine trying to tell you something. Hey, you know full well that you cannot tolerate them in this way because of what it does to you. And if you know that it's not just of some inadequacy in you, but just it's really who you are and by your nature or what you've been through or how you've healed, that this is just what it is, then that means you don't have to be the soft place for them to land. And you need to know what is it that they need the landing place to change. And then once you can see them have the landing, make the change, then you're ready. I sometimes it takes critical thinking on top of a download to understand what divine is trying to say to us. And some of us will think, oh man, I guess I have to let this person come in and hurt me. No, that is not what divine is saying. Divine is saying, assess your situation, assess the spirit of who you are, who you've become, and where they're at. And now you'll know the steps to your reunion journey. But the truth is, many of us, I mean, look at this. This is a clarifier here. We've got the storm. Many of us are going to have divine masculines that we must weather the storm with them. We must be with them while they break from their chains. We must experience them at what we would consider their worst. And some of us are tired. Our awakening journey helped us realize we've been doormats, that we've been taken advantage of, not even just by them, but by everybody, that we've been scapegoated, all this different stuff that the journey reveals to us. We're healing, we're changing, we're growing as we're in separation. Meanwhile, they're the same or they're not integrating. And so we think like, oh no, does this mean that I can't be with them because I'm not going through any more storms? And it's like, frankly, you are going to go through storms for the rest of your life, just like you're going to go through good days for the rest of your life. The question is, can you go through the storm with them or not? And if you can't, don't beat yourself up for that. I know you desire reunion and you don't want to be the reason why it doesn't happen like sooner than later, but that's not you blocking union. Being the peaceable person is knowing what's going to take you out your peace. So if you're meant to be with them while they're chained, while they refuse to transform, while they're existing still in kind of a dark state, it's probably because you were designed to have a certain way of light, a way of living, a way of being that would trigger change in them. But if you're realizing, like, I cannot deal with them that way, my first instinct is to say to you, remember what I said in this reading already. Don't be afraid to tell them that. Don't be afraid to say to them, I want to be with you. I have been thinking about you every single day for the last several years. There is nothing about you that I find like detestable or any of that. However, this thing that you do, I can't, what it brings out in me, I cannot stand. I don't like how I act or how I respond or how I treat you. And so I have learned to put a boundary down to keep myself, to remain in peace. And if you can't make that change, then you and I are going to have to figure out how to do life a little bit different than we used to. That's my first instinct. So I just want to encourage you that before you automatically say, oh, I guess it's just not time for us yet, ask yourself if speaking that truth to them could provide a little bit of a bridge where even if you're not in full reunion, that you could be reconciling while you start to take the bridge from being like a single rope to like two ropes. And now you got some slats and now you're actually building something you could walk across. Oh, and now we got the whole freaking Brooklyn Bridge or something. You know what I mean? So all right, final messages here. What's the most important things that divine feminines today, who this resonates for, need to know? We've got divine masculines who are making some changes. They're starting to understand their own light in a different way, which is helping them see us in a new way. What is it that we must know about these divine masculines before we make any decisions, before we go forward? Oh, first, ground yourself. Ground yourself on your journey in your place. Do not let the divine masculine's fog sweep in and confuse you. Do not forget to see the forest for the trees. Really understand where you are on your journey every single day. Have like a new clarity, okay? Because if you can stay grounded, you'll know which of these is the right path for you. You'll know if your divine masculine is just kind of maybe going through something. Sometimes they just call us because they're going through something, You'll know if your person is really serious, even if your body is responding poorly. Like, they're standing in front of you telling you that they care about you, they want to be with you, and your heart is racing and you're thinking, oh no, see, my spirit's saying no. It's like maybe your spirit isn't saying no. Maybe your body is so worried about being re traumatized and it remembers what they did that it's actually a fear response. It's anxiety. And so I think this says be grounded as you can be every single day, because divine masculines show up like a freaking tornado sometimes. They show up and you're like, what are you doing here? I'm happy to see you, but why? What is this? And what I don't want to see is, as these divine masculines, who I think over the next 2 to 3 months during this season, they're going to be watching, they're going to be lurking, they're going to be learning from you, whether you know or not. Do not allow their energy to frazzle you. Do not allow them to come in and confuse you. And if you're expecting them, if you're anticipating them, I don't think you'll let that happen. And then you'll actually know the best moves to make. So, first things first is ground yourself, which is interesting because that comes with the hanged man. All right. What else, Divine Feminine? What else does Divine Feminine really need to be doing right now to be ready for whatever version of their masculine is coming in so that they can make the best decisions? Ah, air. Again, I don't know what it is, but we keep getting this hot air balloon. There's something about this. Earlier, I said what? Put it in the air. What was I saying to put in the air? Put in the air positive things for your divine masculine to understand. Put in the air, if you can't say it to them directly, all the things that you want them to know. Send it telepathically if you can. But I also think that this says they're going to be sending you things telepathically. They're going to be sending messages back to you. Do you know how many people I have a new Etsy shop. And it all it is just my same stuff. So it's nothing new. But it's just a new way to reach people. And I've been reaching these new people and they're commenting on the videos and they're saying, I am so confused. I got this message in a bottle message from you, and I didn't realize that it was going to be from, such and such a point. And at first I was frustrated because it was from like 3 years ago or something. But then I looked at the date and I looked at this and I looked at that and I realized it was something tied to this really important moment on our journey. And it's like, yeah, there are so many messages. This is the hardest part about tarot, like YouTube tarot, is there's so many messages. It's hard to know which one to pick, but there's also so many messages you're not even being shown. And I'm not even talking about like people not being shown my videos. No, I just mean in general. There's so many. There's only 24 hours in a day. You're not always going to catch everything. And I feel like the divine masculines for a while now have actually been trying to talk to us. And I feel like so many people are missing it. And it's weird when they find it and they're like, "Man, I knew is it weird to say that I knew this message was going to be here or that I knew that this was something that they wanted to say, but I couldn't I had no proof." Well, honey, I think that's how they've been feeling about you. That's what they've been experiencing for you. They can tell that there's something in the ether. They can tell that there's something out there that they know it's from you. That's another reason why I always say make sure if you're thinking thoughts of them that they're positive because I truly believe they can feel it. Know that as you stay grounded, you'll be better able to see, hear, feel all these different messages. And also, the messages that you send out will come from a grounded energy that I think will be easier to decipher and it won't be so delayed. I think the divine masculines have some things in the air even now. And it's going to be important for you to ask yourself. You may have been with me before when we've done this, but if you're willing, reach your hand out right now and grab the air. Like reach out and grab the air. Grab it. I want you to reach out. I want you to grab the air. I want you to pull it to your chest, pull it to your gut, pull it to your vagina, even. Sorry, your penis. Pull it, and put it in your body. All right. Reach out, put it in. Reach out, put it in. You have no idea what you just did. But your body, your soul, your spirit, your mind is about to open and unlock those messages. There is so much out there that all you have to do is say, Divine, I need a message. Grab it, put it in, and it will integrate and it will show up and it will be clear and understanding. It will help you to understand. It will be something that almost shocks you, but so many of us refuse to use our powers and our gifts unless it's for something specific that we want. We're not just going to reach out and say, "Oh, give me a message about anything." No, we're going to say, "Oh, well, then can you tell me the date of my reunion? Can I reach out and find that?" It's like, stop. What if divine wants to give you the breadcrumbs or the puzzle pieces or whatever it is that you've been missing to get you to that answer, but that with those bread pieces, crumbs, whatever you want to call it, there is also some other beautiful, powerful message in there for you. Divine feminine, reach your hand out again. Pull it in. I want you to do another one. We're going to pull one, but we're not going to hit our head hard. We're just going to tap it on our third eye. Reach out, put it in. Take a second and breathe. We're going to let this stuff kind of marinate for a moment. And today, I believe many of you are going to receive things, and it's not going to be from me. It's not going. I don't know if it's going to be from them. It's not going to be from me. This isn't about me. This is about you learning that there is a tool that you have, which is letting divine know. Oh yeah, I'm aware that you have blessings surrounding me. I'm aware that you have wisdom, knowledge, and understanding all around me. And I'm going to reach out and I'm going to grab it. And what happens when you do this is now your brain has been activated to search for the truth. Like, I wonder what I just put in me. What did I just put in me? Oh, Grace, well, I don't want to reach out and put just anything in me. Are you in such a negative vibrational field that you're grabbing demonic stuff or dark stuff or evil stuff? No, you're not. Reach out again and do it again if you've been doubtful. I say this because divine feminine, I believe that your divine masculine has things that they want to share. And I want you to understand that if you're missing stuff from them and they're missing stuff from you, that there is undivine interference in between. And it's easy, much easier than you think to clear that out of the way simply by grounding yourself in the physical, sending yourself to the heights in the spirit and integrating that 3D and that 5D. I do it by existing in the 4D, but I know there are other ways. All right, last card. What is it that our divine masculine wants us to understand before they come in, before they deliver a message, before they speak up, what is it that they want us to understand about them? I just want one card, please. Stop. Whoa. Oh my God. You guys, I said that and it flew across. Oh my gosh. Okay. Wow. It's the horse. It's the stallion, guys. I believe your divine masculine wants you to understand that they are in motion. They are not stagnant. Okay. They are not stuck anymore. Something has shifted. And I love this because this lunar eclipse energy comes up here. And it just makes me think something really deep happened during eclipse season, and they've been trying to connect with you about it ever since. And now I think that there is going to be some energy coming up in these full moons that we're experiencing. I think there's something they're trying to reveal. And it's our job to figure out what is it? Where are they going? They're in motion, they're moving. Where are they going? What are they doing? And they're going so much faster than we think. Why can't we see it? Why can't we feel it? Well, maybe we're not grounded. Maybe we're too high in the air at the wrong times and too low at the ground on the wrong times. Maybe we need to shift it, flip our energy. Whatever it is, they are headed in the right direction. They are willing to make great strides even when they're fearful. They are different. They are not who they were before. And when they come in, you're going to go and look out and be like, is that a I didn't know we had wild horses out here. That's how it's going to feel. It's going to feel like, did you just show up in your, and now we're to, what's happening? And here's the thing. I think that sometimes there is a confusion. Like if a reader says something like that, it's like, oh, you're just trying to string me along. And no, 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 no. Don't get it twisted. I don't know the date or the hour of your union. But what I'm telling you is every other person that I've worked with who has gotten into union for the past 7 years, their DM comes in like a bat out of hell. Their DM comes in hot. Their DM comes in when there's something wild going on. Their DM comes in when it was super unexpected. That's why people try to tell you that, to be aware. It's not just because they're trying to get you all excited about maybe you're going to pop up in the next 2 hours, which, by the way, please continue to let me know when you get called or texted during my readings because it always makes me laugh. It's been happening for years and I'm like, oh, I'm not surprised. But for real, the reason that we're sharing this is because we've seen it happen and it's like the only way. I don't really know anybody who's had union happen with their person, whether their DM was high vibe or low vibe or whatever they were while in separation. I don't think I've ever seen anyone come into union in like a fairy tale, like peaceful, normal love way. No, because that wouldn't even make sense. If that was going to happen all along, why were we in separation then? No, it was going to be a challenge that the divine masculine had to overcome, and the divine feminine did too. Because everything in you is going to say, don't trust them, don't let them in, even though everything in you is desiring for reunion. That cognitive dissonance is what you're supposed to be working on right now. But what they're working on is catching up. Remember what I said in the beginning? We had a divine masculine. Okay, so we're going to do the thing again. So imagine here's a plateau and then there's a dip. Okay, now we have another plateau and there's a dip. We have another plateau, dip, right? So imagine if I just told you that the entire DM collective, like the main, like large, big old group of DMs had gone to the second plateau, and in the late summer and early fall, they fell into this dip. And who did they find there? They found dark DMs, miserable DMs. They found DMs who we question, could you even be divine? Well, help me understand something. If the DMs are all moving on a timeline and they're all going towards their ascension and towards union, how did the darkest, dankest, worst of the worst is, and again, this is just kind of how it feels sometimes. How did those DMs get to the second plateau or the second valley? Because they were there before the whole collective. Some of the darkest divine masculines, they're dark because they tried, they worked so hard, they gave everything they had, and it wasn't their time. And instead of being able to accept that, or instead of trying to go with the divine wisdom and seek out a better understanding of their inner feminine so their intuition could guide them properly, they just thought life is unfair and I will never succeed. I'll just sit here and die. Many of us do, we still need to wrap our brains around that. that they were ahead of the entire main group of the collective. But I will tell you this, not all the DMs that were in that second dip that the collective just went down there, some joined the collective and they went. And now they're running faster again because they already knew they could go fast. They just needed someone to help them out of that dip. But some are still in the dip. And I just want to be real with you about that. But don't be afraid, because just like divine sent somebody to get, I think, a large group of them, there are going to be stragglers. There are going to be new people. There are going to be all kinds of things, all kinds of reasons where there's going to be another group, might not be as big. There's going to be another group that hits the first plateau and the first valley. And there's probably some stragglers down there. And then they're going to get up there and they're going to come down. And I believe that the people who missed this most recent pickup, if you will, they'll get them too. And if your DM is still down there, you don't need to go get them. You should be on your own mountain, on your own ascension journey. Because frankly, I don't know how else to explain this, and I need to figure out a way to get this to the collective. I just can't figure it out, because anytime I talk about the energy signatures and the ascension pathway and the 4D and mastering the 4D and all the things that when people keep asking me, how did you get into union? How do I get into union? What do I do? And then I explain it to like the collective, maybe one person gets it or no one watches that video. And I'm like, well, dang, how am I going to explain this to people? But here's the truth. We've been told a lie. We've been told that as twins, where everyone else on the spiritual journey, like, outside of twin flames, like just all general spiritual people, they all do their journeys alone. Yeah, they might have a soulmate and they pick up and they do the journey with them or whatever. No, 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 no. That's not it. That's not it. And the same way we think as twin flames, we do the journey together because we're twins. No, no, no. That's not it. That's not it. Everyone's spiritual journey is their own journey. Everyone's. But some people are meant to go forward and then back. So they go out and they find information and they take it back to their people. That's not us. That's not us, guys. As twin flames, many of us are not meant to stay where we originated. As twin flames, we're meant to go basically into the mountains and then we fly. And divine puts us where we're meant to be. And we do that on our own journey, individually, by ourselves. And our divine masculine might be in the same mountain range, but their path is to a different peak. We meet in the sky, friends. And I have to find a way to explain this. We meet in the sky as twin flames. We can fly. We have a different gifting. We have a different role to play. So the spiritual people who judge us because we think we're supposed to be on the same mountain, walking the same path our entire spiritual journey, they're right. We're wrong about that. But the people who think that twin flames are not meant to come together in the same lifetime are wrong. We meet in the air. So I've got to figure out a way to deliver that message and to help people understand their energy signature so they can get out of the loops. I just had somebody today. I can find it right now because she just commented it like an hour ago. Community, come on, where is it at? She said, or maybe it was an hour ago. I think I saw it like an hour ago. She said, Grace, after watching tarot for 8 years now, I finally get it. All your old videos are coming across my feed now. I didn't realize that I was stuck in a loop for so long. This video spoke to me. Thanks for making it. Much love and blessings. The video that she was talking about is DF. They are terrified of you seeing this reading. Can you see? It's that thumbnail. Okay. She's like got her eyes covered. And what's crazy to me is that energy signature 1, the place that I've always said, this is the place that most people never get out of. This is the place that represents the most of the twin flame collective. I've always said that it's a loop. The way out is to get off of the carousel or the loop. And for her to say that was like, and that, here's the thing. I made this video years ago before I even knew about the pathway and all this different stuff. I wish more people wanted to know why they're stuck where they are. I wish more people wanted to know beyond like the typical like marry and divorce stuff, like separation, reunion. That's all very 3D stuff. You know what I mean? We have a very, very different existence than most people. And we're trying to understand our journey through their lens and through their language. And it's why so many spiritual people look down on our collective, and not like our tribe, I mean like the twin flame collective in general. They do not understand what we're doing, and neither do we. And we go to them and confuse them and make them feel like they can't help us, so they just dislike us and disdain us. But the reality is there are three energy signatures for being in the twin flame separation journey. There is reunion that happens in the 3D, not the 5D. Reunion already happened in the 5D. It is what it is in the 5D. Reunion happens in the physical world. And everything we've been shown as twin flames is the opposite. They're showing us how to get into union in the 5D, and they're telling us to basically ignore the 3D. And that's why you've heard me speaking this entire reading. And what do I keep saying? Many divine feminines, when reunion actually happens, have done no work in their physical world to be ready for it. I'm not laughing. This is my nervous laugh. It's very scary, actually. It makes me really, really sad when I see people get into union and realize I'm going to screw this up. So please know that your journey is not what you've been told. It's not what you think, but it's not that hard to understand either. It's just that you've got to be a twin flame to be able to get that deep in it. And people who are not twin flames that are trying to help twins can often end up just saying, you know what, this is too convoluted and frustrating. We should all just quit. I'm letting you know, if you've been stuck in a loop, if nothing has changed in your world and your life, you're probably an energy signature 1. If you are feeling tired and exhausted, and but also like can't let go, and you're too deep in it, you're probably an energy signature 2. If you've been in an energy that you would kind of consider reunion, like your life is actually ready for them. You're ready to be together. They're the only thing missing, but you're not really sure about your purpose or your gifts or your light work or how to use them. You're probably an energy signature 3. If you're hearing my voice right now, you're in one of those 3. If you want to get to the third one, which is at least the least painful energy, you can't stay stuck in the first one. And it's like a pyramid almost, because the bottom has the most people. Energy signature 1 has the most people, because that's just like general twin flame tarot stuff. Then the second level up is like, I think usually going to be for people who either have had some spiritual experiences, like they're really powerful already before they even discover this, or they've been on the journey for many years and they've been diligently working. If you're at the top, everything in you should be pulling you towards your purpose, because that's where you're going to meet them, in the air. You're going to meet them in your purpose. That's where they're going to be too. I really, really want everyone to know that reunion is possible this lifetime. In fact, I believe it's guaranteed. But at least let's know it's possible. And also let's know that when it does happen, your person is going to be coming from the 3D, not the 5D. They're going to be understanding and integrating from the 3D. That's why I think we're getting this horse energy. We need to see them for who they are, and we need to understand how they're experiencing things and their wildness. But we also need to know that there is a beautiful, soft landing place for them. And the best way to offer that for them is to, at the very least, be an energy signature 3, if not out of the whole separation experience at all, which is another story. So I hope that this reading gave you some clarity on where your person is right now, especially if you did feel like they were connected to some of those lower DM energies, or if you're thinking, my DM isn't even like some of the jerks you were channeling the last couple months. What the heck? Like, why? Why are they still so far behind? And it's because that's just their journey. They're not messing up. They're not screwing up. They're not being bad. That was just the pace that was set for their journey. And now divine is bringing them to a higher understanding. Okay, friends? I love you guys so much. This went way longer than I was supposed to. I really hope I didn't just talk into my next client. I'm gonna get going, but if you're interested in working with me, where's my thing at? Oy vey. My website is thefierygrace.com. Like I said, I have a couple more calls left for today, but they may already be gone. I don't really know. So if you're interested, oh my gosh, I'm like shaking. If you're interested, check out thefierygrace.com and you'll see I'm on call and I have slots for sale. If you see those on call slots and you're like, I don't want one of those times, or that's not like what I'm looking for right now, you can just order a regular session and then we'll schedule together. But those on call times are for people who are like, I just need to talk to you. Oh, great. I can pick a time and I know you're going to call me. All right. So if you're interested in that, go ahead. And I think that I should still have, I'll make sure I update it. There should be a 50% off sale on my site as well. So if you're interested in working with me, you'll see it all there. If not, I've got plenty of free readings here on the channel. If you're a member, there are over 2,000 readings available to you that no one else can see except for like what, maybe 50 of you that are members. So if you're interested, please go back through the catalog. Many of my readings are timeless. Even some of them that were meant for a specific time, you can get a lot of good information because you'll remember where you were on your journey when that reading came out. But again, a lot of them are timeless where I'll record it at a certain point and people will be like, this is crazy because it came up on my feed. I don't even know why I clicked it, but now I know it was for me. If you're still here, please like this video. And if you made it all the way to the end, I want you to leave a little horse, a pretty little horse in the comment section after the video. Don't forget to leave your comment signature. I'm going to do a giveaway of something probably, I don't know, the next time I go live. So I love you. I will see you later. Have a good day, night, morning, evening, weekend, whatever you're doing. Okay, bye bye.